Darkest Dungeon, the game whose player base is made up of entirely masochists, and I have yet to beat this game. So, I'm gonna do that today. And also, if you're wondering why I'm not playing on the hardest difficulty, well, it's because the hardest difficulty has a hero death limit and a time limit, neither of which I really want to deal with. But the normal mode is still incredibly difficult anyway, so I'm sure I'll want to kill myself after this regardless. First off, you'll get introduced to the two absolute dude bros, Reynold, your average good old god-loving Christian dude bro, and Dismas, who is a perfect representation of the average IRA member. Name a more iconic duo. I will bloody wait. We then fight our way up the main road after our wagon crashed, killed this heckin' chonker, got an STD from a trapped chest somehow, and then we made it to the hamlet, which is basically the hub world. Here you can recruit heroes, upgrade heroes, and remove something called stress. A foreign concept to everyone in the audience, I'm sure, which can cause your heroes to act in really weird ways. Usually negative, though sometimes positive. Or if it gets bad enough, they can have a straight up heart attack. And we also recruited the Vestal, who's a healer, and the Plague Doctor, who's kind of like a poison sniper, is what I'd describe him as, even if that doesn't make too much sense. We then storm into Buckingham Palace, as our research has shown that this is where all the living skeletons are.
That one didn't age quite so well.
But, as you might be thinking, Cheeky Tango, why are you even bothering to go in and annihilate these bony boys? Well, your main goal is to get gold, which is used to upgrade your hero's armor, weapons, attacks, cure diseases, remove stress, and affecting your character's quirks by either removing bad ones or locking in good ones. So, it is pretty important. You've beaten your first quest. Good job. You got some money, heirlooms, and some funny quirky quirks. But hey, now that you're back at the hamlet for the second time, you're largely free to do anything you want this time. Upgrade buildings, go to the tavern. Oh, you want to run straight back out. For fuck's sake. Alright, fine, let's go. At the end of my second quest, I got this weird blood stuff. Like, I'm not too sure about what it does, but hey, I guess we have some now. Also, mosquitoes are around now, I guess? I don't remember them from my other playthroughs, but I guess they were there. And now that we have some more heirlooms, I decided to upgrade the blacksmith so that we can upgrade our armor, because hey, I'd rather not die immediately. Also, we went to the Weald for the first time, and I got immediately decked by 2 traps in just the first hallway. RN Jesus was not smiling on me today. Also, you may have noticed that we have 2 new heroes in our party. The Occultist, whose hashtag not like other wizards, listens to 21 pilots, and heals weirdly, because he can either heal loads or barely anything, and he inflicts bleeding on whoever he heals, so it's risky with him. We also have the Houndmaster, who I'm not all that fond of, to be honest. He's basically every character blended together, but made infinitely more shit because he can't do any of those roles better than anyone else. Oh dear, it's finally happened, boys. He's gone nuts. When they reach 100 stress, their stress tends to grow a lot faster. They stress everyone else out, they can randomly move, or they can just do attacks you didn't even ask them to do. That said though, they can become courageous, which makes them perform better. But yeah, we got unlucky here. But thankfully, this quest was quite an easy one, and we were nearly finished. But an early affliction can ruin a quest. It was around here I decided to play around with using different moves on my characters, because for those of you who don't know, different moves only work in different spaces, and so it makes no sense to have a move which only works in the front when I use that character as a backliner. Or it makes no sense to have a move with bleed as its main form of damage if you're in the ruins where barely any enemies can bleed because, well, they're skeletons. Now, I've got to admit, in my first save slot of the game, I mostly only ran the ruins because, well, frankly, I was kind of scared of the other areas, so I could just keep on reliably running in the ruins. So I know barely anything about the other areas pretty much, So I went into the cove with my ruins loadout and it wasn't fun at all. I mean, we survived, but enemies here have really high protection, which is basically defense, and I should really have had a loadout that's more geared towards blight and bleed, because Reynold, my main swinger, only did 3 damage to this guy, and he usually does way more than this. After this, I decided to assemble a new team which included 2 heroes, one of which being the Gravedigger, and another being the Shieldbreaker. These heroes are what I'd like to call dancing heroes, where they tend to move around a lot, but in a way which doesn't really disrupt your party's positioning all too much, but you do also need a party which can cope with being moved around. And where better to test this composition I'm completely inexperienced in than the Warrens, an area I'm also pretty clueless about. Great fucking job, me. Basically, the main thing about the Warrens is that it's disgusting. There are pigs everywhere, and the scary syphilis demon is around every bit of vomit. Be afraid, everyone watching. Next up, I accidentally fell backwards into my first boss fight against the Collector, who spawns in these little guys to fight you. So I did my very darndest, constantly sniping the Collector, taking a quick break to watch the thunderstorm outside, and then resumed on the onslaught until it was goddamn done. Next is the quest which has wiped my party multiple times on other save slots. That's right, the first Crimson Court quest. Now, you might be thinking, as this quest has wiped your party multiple times, do you not think it'd make more sense to be a bit more patient and, level up your characters a bit? Well, no, because this game loves to force you into uncomfortable situations, as your stress reduction activities, like gambling and such, get less and less effective over time until you finish this quest. So, yeah, we kind of had to do it. It all started off well enough, but there was one enemy I had been trying to avoid. He looks a bit like a cross between a mantis and a crocodile, and he's right bloody there. The battle started off abysmally. We couldn't get any hits off on him, and he caused the Plague Doctor to reach 100 stress. The entire fate of this battle now hung in the balance of her response to the stress. Holy shit, yes! And then the Plague Doctor gets brought down to 1 health. But thankfully, we're able to heal her and murk the boss. Although while I was fighting this boss, one question kept bouncing around my head. How in the hell does a plant dodge? Now, you might think that now that we've finished this quest, things will get better for us. Well, you, my good friend, would be very, very wrong. Because now, the Crimson Court enemies have spread to all the other areas. So the game just got a whole lot harder. This might have been a bad decision in hindsight. Now, I want to introduce you all to one more type of mission, and then the pace will pick up. I promise. This type of mission is called a boss hunt, where your only goal is to kill one big bad guy. Anything and everything else is completely irrelevant. So, usually, the strategy is to camp right before the boss if you can, so that you can use all of your camping buffs against the boss. So I camped, and immediately regretted it. The best Doorman video of all time. Because apparently, the Shieldbreaker gets flashbacks when she sleeps, because of course she does, so this means that we'll get transported into her mind and have to fight for our lives, because of course it does, and she gets put on 0 health, because of course it does. Now, dying in Darkest Dungeon works a little differently to how it does in most games, because when your health hits 0, you don't die automatically, but rather every hit of damage after that has a chance to kill you until you heal. So, in theory, you could never die if you were just insanely lucky. And honestly, I'd like to make some big dramatic thing about the boss fight, but it was honestly piss easy after I healed the Shieldbreaker back up. So, after this, what now? Well, your main goal is to do a bunch of random quests until a boss quest shows up, and then you're supposed to go and do that quest until you can get a team up to level 6, and then you're supposed to go into the Darkest Dungeon. Trademarked. So, I'll just show you the most satisfying Darkest Dungeon moment in my whole fucking life. and then we'll get into something more interesting.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands. The ground quakes. Well struck.
Lots of grinding later, the wizened hag appeared on my radar, so we assembled a motley crew and then went to meet her in the field of battle. And Jesus Christ, she looks like my old dinner lady from primary school. But I digress. Believe it or not, she was actually a really close call, because most of my party was focused on bleed or blight as their main damage dealing methods, with the Herian, that's the halberd woman, being my main method for dealing blunt damage in the party. But she got put in the pot, which is pretty much immune to bleed or blight, so she was stuck in that pot for ages, literally being boiled alive. But we managed to get her out. And then again, the goddamn dinner lady decides to put her in the pot again. And then she was on death's door. By the time we had finished, my heart rate was easily in the 200s. And now it's time for a new boss, the Prophet, who's very unique in that he choreographs his attacks and the spots light up where he's going to drop some rubble, so you can make the choice of who you want to get decked in the forehead. Now, I don't know why, but I wanted to get through this game while only having one of each class be in my little loadout roster thing at once, which was honestly quite silly of me, because this level was a level 1 quest, and if your hero is level 3 or above, they can't do level 1 quests. And as both of my healers were above level 1, you can see where this is going, so I didn't have a healer for this quest, because I didn't want to, get another one, because that would mean I'd have 2 healers. Oh no! This was a horrible fucking plan, because this guy does so much damage that it's pretty much inevitable without a healer that most of your party will be on super low health by the end, even if they started at max health at the start. And as a result, death was almost inevitable for us. For example, here is my jester on death's door and is also blighted, meaning that he's almost certainly going to die, and my man-at-arms was much less likely to die, but if he got hit by the boulders, he probably would die. So I sent my jester up to his spot, and then...
More blood soaks the soul.
Again, the rocks fell, almost killing 2 more of my party members. But the abomination was able to tap into something more tenacious than even the gods themselves, the spirit of femboys. And so he persevered through all the potential death blows, and we killed the Prophet, with one of the party dead, and the other 2 hanging on by a thread. Ooh, that was a nice rhyme there, good job me. But on this seemingly normal quest, I got this loading screen instead of the typical one. The Fanatic. Well, it should be fine, I mean, he's just a mini-boss, right? Like the last mini-boss we fought was the Collector, and he was as mild as can be. So we progressed through the quest, picking up medicine as we galloped. Although this wasn't going very well, our Vestal had picked up loads of stress. If I had any sense, I should have turned back now. I should have known that beating a boss when I was in this kind of shape was a terrible idea. But still, naively, I pushed on. Remember when I said that having too much blight and bleed was an issue on the dinner lady? Well, this guy is basically a wildly buffed dinner lady, and so neither the Vestal nor Plague Doctor could really do anything, and it was all down to Dismas. Safe to say he was too drunk to do much, so Reynold got brought down to death's door in about 5 seconds. But do you want to know what is truly frustrating watching this footage back? While I was fighting, I thought retreat was unavailable, and that's why I kept fighting even when I was about to die. But the little RS button at the top was lit up, so I totally could have just bolted. Although, to be fair, the music for this fight sounds like this. So I can't really be blamed for acting a little irrationally. Just like that. Hours upon hours of fighting, healing, stress, companionship, woes and hopes, all over. All gone. So I did what little I could, and I vowed vengeance on the fanatic, and immediately began training my other heroes to take him down. Oh, also, while I was killing Nikocado, yeah, don't worry, this boss isn't very important, my flagellant died, and then after that, everyone in my party who was left got healed. I have no clue why this is. Is it a bug or a feature? No idea. But if anyone watching knows, please put it in the comments, I'm genuinely curious. I started something called an epic quest, and with these you aren't expected to finish them in one go, but rather come and go at your own leisure, which is really useful as you can just fill your inventory with loot, and then leave without feeling like you wasted stuff you didn't have room for. But after messing around in there for a bit, Pokemon was put up to the chopping block, because she's trying to convince our party to give her a tier 3 sub, but thankfully Dismas initially resisted. Good job, King. He'll make a great Andrew Tate someday. But then, he couldn't forever. He opened his wallet, gave her the sub money, and then opened fire on us for daring to suggest that 50% of his paycheck going to Twitch donos is a bad idea. Okay, I'm just going to give Pokemon the nickname Siren now. This fight has so many parallels to her. If I didn't, it'd be heresy. I then went back to the Crimson Court and... It's him! Never mind then, I guess. And then the Houndmaster goddamn died. Jesus Christ, why didn't I bloody retreat? I need a lobotomy, I swear to God. Oh, also, if you're wondering why this quest is taking so damn long, it's because I need to find some keys for some doors. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to interact with every single curio I see with the hopes of finding the key, but I didn't do that because a lot of these curios can give diseases and bleeding, so I decided not to. But if I did have to do that, I'll be so goddamn pissed off, pardon my French, because that means I'll have to run all the way round this massive dungeon again just to open these sodding locked doors. Excuse my German. Also, I can't remember the exact point where I started to feel this way, but it was around here where the Crimson Court started to become less and less of a small little thing and more of a very real issue, because we were running out of blood very, very quickly, and if our heroes can't get blood for too long, then they'll die. Oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. I knew I shouldn't have been an organ donor now. Now, I know what you all want to see. You all want to see me getting absolutely demolished by this guy. Well, that didn't exactly happen. It definitely would have happened, but somehow, despite the infinitesimally small odds of this, I somehow didn't see the fanatic in this long quest. Not short, not medium, but long. We goddamn dodged him. Let's go! We then went off to kill the second stage of the Necromancer, and it was quite easy because our team was so goddamn powerful and great at area attack, so we could just break through their stealth. We then literally got into a fight by punching a cannon to death, and thankfully with our antiquarian and healer, we could basically just keep on fighting forever, so we just survived on really small chip damage on the cannon each time, until he flopped. So I then went to try and kill this one weird human centipede pig thing, but unfortunately I got hip hip hooray! Distracted! Because this thing spawned in where you can put a torch into it and you get to fight the goddamn Shambler. I mean, I had a fairly new team, so I didn't feel too worried about them getting murdered, and they just wanted to try fighting the Shambler. And yeah, they got curb stomped. To be fair to me though, I had the shitty antiquarian, and while she does seem to get way better when she's leveled up, right now she's pretty much useless though. Or I suppose I should say it was kind of pointless because...
Perched at the very precipice of oblivion. This is no place for...
Although we did get so damn close to killing it. Now, as you may have noticed, through all this we'd built up quite the impressive obituary, and lost quite a few of our good heroes. But there's this quest which lets you go and kill this bird to get the stuff back, and so I sent in my best heroes and prepared myself mentally to fight my first level 5 quest. Wish me luck.
Ain't nothing like a phone gimme.
Did that actually just happen? I genuinely don't think I've ever had a fight subvert my expectations that badly. And honestly, it's moments like this which make me love this game even more. I mean, overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer after all. Another reason that I love this game is the exact reason why I'm going to be taking a break from it for a while. Because this game isn't just about ability with the gaming controller, but also mental fortitude. Not just strategy, but also in resilience for when your strategy gets fucked over. Motivation when hard times strike, will you be virtuous or afflicted? And honestly, I just couldn't keep going with the save after so many crushing defeats. I mean, I did play a few more missions, but honestly, I just couldn't get into it anymore like I had before. I'd been beaten by a game. I'd been beaten by